You know that feeling when you see someone wearing a perfectly tailored $1,000 technical alpine climbing jacket just to, like, buy an iced vanilla latte?
Oh, absolutely. Complete overkill, but they want everyone to know they could climb a mountain if they really wanted to.
Right. Well, that is the exact energy of the 2026 Land Rover Defender. It rolls up to the valet looking like this gorgeous glossy tank, and everyone just stops to stare.
It really does have unmatched presence.
It does. But Land Rover's $100,000 question for viewers today is that imposing piece of machinery actually capable of crossing a desert, or is it just, a glitch-filled mall crawler waiting to strand you at a school pickup line?
I mean, it is the defining automotive paradox of our time. You have this vehicle engineered with the structural rigidity to survive the apocalypse.
Yeah, but let's be real. It's statistically more likely to spend its entire operational life trying to conquer speed bumps at the local organic grocery store.
Exactly. And people are paying a massive premium for that illusion. I mean, Land Rover's moving nearly 30,000 of these things a year in the U.S. alone.
Which is wild. So if you viewers have been eyeing one of these rolling paradoxes in your neighborhood, we're going to break down what you are actually getting for your money in 2026.
Because beneath that rugged curb appeal, the ownership experience is a pretty wild, highly unpredictable ride.
Unpredictable is a very polite word for it. Let's start with the stuff before you even get behind the wheel. The 2026 exterior updates.
Right. Land Rover is calling this a facelift, but you practically need an electron microscope to spot the changes.
I was looking at it, and I couldn't tell what was new.
Well, the most notable difference, and this is hilarious, they gave it new flush smoked taillights.
Wait, I saw those the other day. They look sleek, but isn't that just like a styling gimmick to make the older models look dated?
That is part of it, sure, but there is actually a legitimate, completely ridiculous engineering reason behind it.
What is it?
So the old taillight housings had these deep, rugged-looking crevices.
Yeah, they look super industrial.
Well, owners who actually took their vehicles off-road or literally just drove down a slushy winter road were complaining because those crevices acted like giant scoops.
Oh,
Yeah, they were trapping pounds of mud, dirt, and road salt, which would then dry into literal concrete, and then it would scratch the paint when you tried to wash it out.
So Land Rover had to smooth them over just to stop the car from hoarding dirt.
Exactly. They made it look less rugged so it could actually handle being rugged.
That is incredible. And then there are the new vents. I noticed they swapped out the traditional mesh for this bizarre pattern on the grille and the hood finishers.
Yes, the squircle.
The what?
The squircle. It is a hybrid shape, half square, half circle. They stamped it all over the side vents and the grille.
I mean, why?
It is an incredibly subtle flex. It exists purely to signal to the other parents in the drop-off line that you bought the absolute newest model year.
And signaling that status is getting absurdly expensive, by the way. Let's break down the actual math for the viewers here, because the pricing strategy for 2026 is genuinely eye-watering.
It really is. A base Defender 110, so that's the standard four-door, starts around $63,500.
Which, okay, fine. But if you want the two-door Defender 90, Land Rover just pulled a massive bait-and-switch on the U.S. market.
They did. It's a huge shift. For 2026, they made the Defender 90 exclusively available with a V8 engine in the United States,
completely eliminating the cheaper four-cylinder and six-cylinder options for the short wheelbase.
Right, which means if you just want the cute, sporty two-door version, the starting price just skyrocketed to over $114,000.
Over $100,000 for a car with a back seat. You practically need to be an Olympic gymnast to access.
It is a deliberate volume restriction play, you know. Land Rover is aggressively repositioning the Defender nameplate to sit much higher in the luxury stratosphere.
They don't want the two-door to be an accessible entry-level car anymore.
Exactly. They want it to be a niche, six-figure toy. And if you want the absolute top-tier model, the new OCTA, you are looking at a staggering $168,000 before options.
That is Porsche 911 money.
Yeah.
So you drop $168,000, you grab the heavy, chunky door handle, and you climb inside expecting absolute perfection.
But the second you sit down, you are hit with this bizarre psychological experiment.
Yes, the utilitarian cosplay.
Perfectly said.
I'm looking at the door panels and the center console, and there are these raw, exposed Torx screw heads everywhere. It is screaming like, I am a tough industrial machine.
But right next to those screws, the seats are wrapped in ultra-premium cover-drop wool blends and high-end resist upholstery.
Makes no sense.
Well, it is a deliberate juxtaposition. The exposed screws are structural, yes, but they are stylized to give you that analog mechanical feel.
Right, to make you feel like you're driving a tractor.
Exactly. Meanwhile, the Cavadraul is there because buyers at this price point demand luxury, but they still want the illusion of durability.
It is fabric that feels like a bespoke Italian suit, but you can wipe spilled coffee off it with a wet rag.
They also tweak the ergonomics a bit for 2026. The gear shifter is pushed slightly outward, away from the dashboard.
Which actually gives you a bit more knuckle clearance, right?
Yeah, it's a nice touch. And they added these hidden storage cubbies. You push a glossy panel on the dash, and it mechanically slides back to reveal a hidden compartment.
Oh, very James Bond.
Yeah.
But the storage is entirely overshadowed by the centerpiece of the cabin, which is that massive new 13.1-inch curved touchscreen.
Right. It replaces the older, flat 11.4-inch display. And I will say, the glass is beautiful. It curves slightly toward the driver to reduce glare, and the Pivi Pro software interface looks incredibly sharp.
It looks fantastic right up until the screen goes completely black while you're trying to merge onto the highway.
Oh, here we go.
I mean, if you talk to actual owners and viewers, we hear all the market drama. This is where the premium illusion just shatters into a million pieces.
The infotainment failures are absolutely infamous. Land Rover has historically struggled with electrical architecture, as we all know.
Understatement of the century.
Right. And stuffing a massive, high-resolution 13.1-inch display into the dash pushes their processing capabilities to the absolute limit.
But why exactly does it just die? Is it like a bad wire behind the dash?
No, it is usually a combination of thermal throttling and software overload. So you have the navigation running, Apple CarPlay syncing, the climate control processing, and the background telematics constantly pinging cell towers.
That is a lot of data.
It is. The processor behind the dash generates a massive amount of heat. When it cannot cool down fast enough, or when the memory just gets overloaded by all those background tasks, the system panics.
So it just gives up.
It simply shuts off to protect itself. You just get a totally black frozen piece of glass.
And the most infuriating part is how the dealerships are handling it.
Yeah.
Owners are reporting that service centers are demanding literal video proof of the screen being dead before they will authorize a warranty replacement.
Because, of course, the second you pull into the service bay, the system reboots and acts like nothing happened.
It creates this absurd scenario where owners are driving down the road at 60 miles per hour, frantically trying to film their dead dashboard with their smartphones just to prove they aren't crazy.
It's a mess.
Oh, and it gets better. Let's chat about the heated seats. On some of these recent models, the calibration for the seat heaters is completely botched.
Oh yeah, the lava seats.
Yes. Setting number 1, the lowest possible setting, gets so aggressively hot it literally burns your legs. You cannot go past setting 1, or you are cooking yourself.
Yeah, that usually points to a poorly insulated thermistor. That's the sensor that tells the computer how hot the heating pad is getting.
So the computer just thinks it's freezing.
Basically. If the sensor is reading too low, the computer just keeps dumping voltage into the heating element until it scorches the upholstery.
So to recap the luxury cabin experience for our viewers, you are sitting on a molten lava seat, aggressively tapping a black piece of glass, trying to turn the heat down, and holding your phone up to record the disaster for the dealership.
And to tie a beautiful bow of irony on that whole situation, the 2026 model comes standard with a new driver attention monitor.
Oh, you have to be kidding me.
I am not. It is a little infrared camera tucked into the steering column that constantly watches your eye movements to make sure you are focused on the road.
I cannot handle the irony.
Oh.
The car is actively judging my focus and yelling at me with warning chimes, while it is actively causing the distraction by freezing my climate controls.
That is the modern Land Rover experience in a nutshell. It is brilliant when it works and just maddening when it doesn't.
Okay, well, assuming you manage to get the electronics to cooperate and your pants are not actively on fire, you eventually have to put this thing in drive.
Right, let's talk about the actual mechanical engineering moving this 6,000-pound brick down the road.
Because the powertrain lineup is dizzying, but it shows how aggressively they are targeting different demographics. You have a 2.0-liter four-cylinder turbo making 296 horsepower.
Then there's a 3.0-liter inline-six mild hybrid making 395 horsepower.
And the 5.0-liter supercharged V8 pushing 518 horsepower.
Oh.
Which sounds great, but the real monster, the one everyone in the market is whispering about right now, is the new OCTA model.
Yeah, Land Rover actually abandoned their own engine for this and borrowed a 4.4-liter twin-turbo V8 directly from BMW.
Sourcing the BMW engine was a masterstroke for performance, honestly.
Though it is definitely an admission that Land Rover did not want to spend the billions in research and development to build a new high-performance V8 from scratch.
Can you blame them? That BMW engine produces 626 horsepower and 553 pound-feet of torque in a vehicle with the aerodynamic profile of a garden shed.
And it hits 60 miles per hour in 3.8 seconds.
3.8 seconds in a 6,000-pound shed. That shouldn't even be physically possible without the car flipping over backward.
It is only possible because of the new 60 Dynamics hydraulic air suspension.
Wait, stop right there. Break that down for me. What does 6D Dynamics actually mean in plain English?
So in a normal SUV, you have thick, solid metal anti-roll bars connecting the left and right wheels to keep the car from leaning in corners, right?
Yeah, standard stuff.
The OCTA throws those metal bars in the trash. Instead, it uses a complex network of hydraulic fluid lines that diagonally cross-link the shock absorbers.
Okay, diagonally cross-linked.
Yeah, so when you take a hard corner and the 6,000-pound cabin tries to lean, the system instantly pumps high-pressure hydraulic fluid to the outside wheels, artificially stiffening them.
So it forces the car to stay flat.
Exactly. It keeps the vehicle perfectly flat, completely defying physics.
That sounds like an absolute engineering marvel. But when I hear the words complex network of high-pressure hydraulic fluid lines built by Land Rover, my wallet instinctively tries to hide.
Oh, completely fair. And the real-world mechanical drama totally backs that up. There are literally law firms right now investigating DC-to-DC converter failures on the mild hybrid models.
Yes, the DC-to-DC converter issue is a perfect example of how adding complexity introduces massive failure points.
So the inline-6 engine uses a 48-volt battery system to power the mild hybrid assist, but your radio, your lights, and your computers still run on standard 12-volt power.
So the DC to DC converter is the bridge. It steps that 48 volts down to 12 volts.
Right.
So what happens when that bridge collapses?
The car essentially flatlines, the voltage regulation spikes or drops, the 12-volt battery dies instantly, and the entire vehicle just shuts down, often while you're actively driving.
Which is terrifying. And it isn't just the electronics. I was chatting with an owner recently who had to have literally three new air suspension compressors installed before the car even hit 1,600 miles.
Unbelievable.
He told me the service tech looked at him and said, "These compressors do not just die, they are murdered."
Honestly, that mechanic is entirely correct.
Really? How so?
The air compressor is a small pump designed to occasionally level the vehicle. But if there is a micro leak anywhere in that vast network of airlines, or if a software glitch continuously tells the car it is unlevel, the compressor will run at a 100% duty cycle.
Just constantly pumping.
Yes, it just pumps and pumps, trying to fix a leak until the electric motor literally melts itself from the inside out.
Which brings us to the core absurdity of this vehicle. Land Rover engineered it to survive extreme conditions. It has an official wading depth of 35.4 inches.
Which is massive.
It is, and features a new adaptive off-road cruise control system where you simply point the steering wheel and the computer calculates the exact throttle input needed to crawl over jagged boulders.
But who is actually using that? Who is taking a $168,000 luxury SUV into 35 inches of swamp water?
Almost nobody. For 95% of buyers, the off-road hardware is purely a status symbol. It is the psychological comfort of knowing you could cross a river, even if the biggest obstacle you ever face is a snowy driveway in the suburbs.
Exactly.
I mean, isn't the real flex just enjoying the unibody construction? You are sitting on independent air suspension, gliding over city potholes like you are on a cloud, resting in the absolute comfort of knowing you're getting a glorious 14 miles per gallon.
Yeah, that plush, refined on-road ride is exactly what separates the Defender from a Jeep Wrangler or a Ford Bronco. It absolutely dominates the pavement.
But if the suspension is murdering its own compressors and the screens are dying, why don't buyers just walk across the street and buy a Lexus GX or a Toyota Land Cruiser? Historically, the logic was simple: buy the Land Rover to look rich, buy the Toyota if you actually want to get home.
That used to be the golden rule. But the script has completely flipped in the last year.
It really has. If you look at the brand new Lexus GX, automotive reviewers are complaining that it has a notoriously stiff, harsh ride on the pavement.
Which is not what you want from a luxury daily driver.
Not at all. But far worse than that, Toyota just suffered a massive, humiliating recall on their 3.4-liter V6 twin-turbo engines.
Over 100,000 vehicles were called because the engines were literally tearing themselves apart from the inside.
I still don't understand how Toyota, the literal king of reliability, lets that happen.
It was a catastrophic manufacturing failure. During the machining process of the engine block, tiny metal shavings were left behind.
In the engine block?
Yes. So when the engine was running, those shavings circulated through the oil galleries and blocked the lubrication to the main bearings.
Oh, that is a death sentence for an engine.
Completely. The bearings would run dry, overheat, and the engine would seize entirely.
So it is the grand irony of the current luxury off-road segment. People are flocking to Toyota and Lexus for bulletproof peace of mind, and instead, their engines are eating metal shavings.
Suddenly, the Defender's notorious electrical gremlins seem almost standard for the segment. You have to pick your poison.
Right. Do you want a frozen touchscreen, or do you want a complete engine replacement on the side of the highway?
And when you factor in the financial reality, the Defender becomes strangely logical.
Wait, logical?
Well, if you look at the lease structures in markets like Canada, a nicely equipped Defender 110 with the inline-6 engine is technically about 12% more expensive on the sticker price than a high-trim Land Cruiser.
Okay.
But because Land Rover is heavily subsidizing their finance rates to move inventory, the actual monthly lease payment on that Defender can be identical or sometimes even cheaper than the Toyota.
Wait, I am stuck on that. Even if the lease payment is identical, how does a buyer justify the headache of dropping their car at the service center every few months for a dead touch screen or a blown compressor just to avoid a slightly stiffer ride in the Lexus?
Because the alternatives require far too many daily compromises. Take the new Ineos Grenadier or the Mercedes G-Class.
Okay, the Grenadier looks incredibly cool.
It is brilliant off-road, but it uses solid front and rear axles. On the highway, it wanders all over the lane. It feels like driving agricultural equipment.
And the G-Class.
The G-Class is iconic, but you are paying double the price of a Defender for less interior space. The Defender offers a vastly superior plush ride on the pavement, which is where 100% of these buyers actually live their lives.
It is the ultimate pavement princess. Which brings us to Land Rover's biggest magic trick yet, trying to future-proof this massive gas-guzzling icon. The emissions regulations are tightening globally, so they're trying to electrify the Defender.
They have no choice. The rumors indicate we will see a fully electric, full-size Defender by late 2026. It will be built on their MLA platform, the modular longitudinal architecture.
Explain the MLA platform for the viewers. Is it just an old chassis with batteries shoved into it?
Not quite. Think of the MLA platform like a high-end, heavy-duty Lego set. It was designed from day one with specific hollow cavities meant to swallow massive battery packs seamlessly, without eating into the passenger headroom or compromising the weighting depth.
So it is a hybrid platform that can handle gas engines or full battery packs.
Exactly. But the more interesting rumor is what is slated for 2027, the smaller, cheaper Defender Sport.
Right.
That one will be built on the new Electrified Modular Architecture, or EMA platform. It is a dedicated electric skateboard design.
Which means a completely flat floor.
Right, which opens up a massive amount of interior cabin room despite the vehicle having a much smaller footprint. It is rumored to hit around 300 miles of range.
Okay, I have to stop you there. I just need a moment to process the monumental sarcasm required to accept this reality.
I know exactly where you're going with this.
We are talking about a fully electric Land Rover. Taking a brand historically famous for the most baffling, unsolvable electrical gremlins in automotive history and introducing high-voltage battery architecture and vastly more complex electronic control units. What could possibly go wrong?
Your skepticism is entirely justified. I mean, moving to electric propulsion removes the mechanical engine, but it multiplies the software demands by a factor of 10.
It sounds like a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah. The transition is going to test Land Rover software engineering teams like never before. They have to prove that they can build a high-voltage battery management system that is as bulletproof as their old mechanical four-wheel drive transfer cases.
I am just imagining the nightmare scenario. If my Pivi Pro infotainment screen goes black while I am driving through the desert, that is annoying. But if my screen goes black while I am desperately trying to route to the only fast charging station within 100 miles, I am going to lose my absolute mind.
It will be the ultimate test of brand loyalty. Will buyers trust the Land Rover badge enough to hand over their range anxiety? We are going to find out very soon.
So if you are out there right now watching this, looking at this beautiful 6,000-pound Squircle-covered machine sitting on the dealership lot, what is the actual verdict?
Well, the 2026 Defender is a masterpiece of conflicting priorities. It is undeniably gorgeous, it is structurally highly capable, and it drives better, smoother, and quieter on the highway than almost any other serious off-roader on the market today.
But ownership is a high-stakes roll of the dice. You are paying a massive premium for the brand, to the stance, and for the idea of adventure.
Yeah, and you have to accept the reality that you might spend 3 weeks driving a loaner car while your service advisor waits for a newly manufactured air compressor to clear customs from the United Kingdom.
It requires a certain tolerance for drama. But for the people who buy them, the quirks are just part of the character.
Character. That is a very polite word for it.
Here is my cynical but honest takeaway for you viewers. The 2026 Land Rover Defender is the absolute best luxury off-roader you should probably lease, but definitely not own a single day out of warranty. Hand the keys back to the dealer the minute the coverage expires.
A very fair assessment. Enjoy the BMW V8, enjoy the physics-defying hydraulic suspension, and let the depreciation and the long-term electrical repairs be the next owner's problem.
But here is something to chew on before we go. If the Defender's entire appeal is rooted in this rugged analog heritage, the ghost of the original farm implement Land Rover that conquered the globe, what happens to its soul when it becomes just another silent, battery-powered computer on wheels in 2027? Does it lose the exact rugged character people are paying $100,000 for, or does it finally become the reliable machine it always pretended to be? Would you risk the infamous Land Rover reliability for that unmatched curb appeal and V8 power, or are you playing it safe with a Land Cruiser? Let's argue about it in the comments below. See you next time.